Hey everybody, today I'm excited to chat with Roger Kissling of Ironheart Canning. Roger is the VP of Sales and Client Management at Ironheart, and today we're going to learn more about the creation of their new technical services and support program. But Roger, let's get to know you a little bit better. I know you've been on these multiple times over the years with CBP, but for everyone who hasn't, got to talk to you face to face or seen you virtually, tell everybody a little bit about what you do in the world of, beverage these days.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Andrew. It's great to be back. Well, I guess it's a good place to start is a quick intro of Ironheart Canning, just to know where the base of experience and everything we're going to be talking about is coming from, and a little bit about myself as well. Ironheart Canning started before I joined, so I'll start there. Our founder, Tyler Willie, he began Ironheart Canning over 10 years ago now. Pretty, I don't want to say romantic, but a classic story. Probably the opposite of romantic if you asked him. But one guy in a truck, a family operation. This is when mobile canning was just starting, and when craft beer was supposed to be in bomber bottles, right, not in cans. And there's been a pretty big 10-year arc, I would say, from where we started and where we are now. Tyler took that company and pretty quickly, based on demand, grew it to about 5 canning lines in about 3 years, servicing New England. So it started in Connecticut, and he ran trucks everywhere from New Jersey and Maryland all the way up to Maine. And then, scale was the issue, right? I've heard him tell this story many times, but he took on some partners to help scale the business effectively, because it's kind of difficult to jump that gap from when you're canning and you're doing the books and you're doing all your QC and ordering and everything, to then expand that business geographically, which we did through organic expansion and some acquisition. And many of the other mobile canning companies that became part of the Ironheart team, those people, those personnel, as well as those businesses, they're still with us, which is really great. That's probably the best part of the story. And from that one line in a truck, now we own and operate about 85 canning lines, but I would say probably more like 65 of them are in mobile operation, and we have dedicated canning lines and fixed assets in different places. We have co-packing partners and a network of co-manufacturers, but our roots and still craft beer, always has been. It's in our blood. We like to say we were born in the cool cellars and fires of kettles, and that's where we've been. Myself, I have came on with Ironheart about 6 years ago, a little over 6 years ago now, and I was working in sales and distribution, supply for wine, spirits industry. And then, came into this exciting industry, in the brewing industry, to provide service, excellent service and quality. And really what we want to do is build partnerships with all of our customers and help them expand their business through package.
Well, awesome, Roger. We're excited to have you here today. And I'm excited to talk about this new program you've created. You recently launched a technical service and support system. What led to the creation of this, and how did you see the need for this in craft beer?
Well, it's we've always seen the need for it. I would say we've always gotten requests for it throughout our history. We've built a reputation of expertise and knowledge and good operating procedures, and we knew from day one. It's always been in our culture that not all mobile canning was created equal, right? So when we expanded and grew mobile canning, the foundation of doing that was the quality that stood behind it. The QC guaranteeing seams, guaranteeing sanitation, bulletproof operating procedures, loss minimization, DO minimization, all these things that went into our mobile service. Whether we had customers that moved into their own in-house canning line, or people that we knew or knew of our reputation just through others in the industry, we've always had people reach out, say, "Hey, I have an issue with my canning line. Can you help?" Or my canning line went down, and I need to get it up as soon as possible. And until we launched this program, typically our response would be something like, "Hey, we would love to help however we can. We can come in and take on capacity while maybe you get your line fixed," but we're always hesitant, might be the right word, because we're focused on doing what we do best, right? And that's providing the best mobile canning service, but also because um, sometimes your expertise and the things that you develop aren't exactly something you give away, right? As a business, let's be completely honest. So that was always kind of a tightrope that we walked, but we certainly always saw the opportunity and had requests for it. Um, one of the things that really led to our decision to launch this program now when we did had to do with our personnel and a specific gentleman on our team named Mark VanGlad, who I'll talk a little about. He's our head of special projects, and he's the general manager of this new technical support and services program. And he initially was going to come on and speak with you, Andrew as well, but it's in our culture. We get it done. He had another need. He's actually on a canning line right now, helping support an emergency situation. And in order to give you the audience, the attention we needed, I'm pinch hitting, so to speak. But Mark had his own brewery in upstate New York, and he came to us in 2017, started working with Ironheart. So he ranks me from a 10-year standpoint. But he made beer. He bottled beer. He eventually did start canning beer. And he has a real affinity for all the technical aspects, stainless steel, maintenance, very mechanical. That's why he heads up our special projects, of course. But his experience being a brewery owner, right, before rising through the ranks, he went from canning line operator to a regional manager to operations vice president to special projects, and now this technical support. But having the background as a producer, who's one of these customers, really gave him a really good perspective. And, I'll not to speak for him, but I know he would say it. He wishes this was around when he was running his brewery, right? Because let's face it, there may be some people out there, but everybody that I know in this industry, they don't necessarily get into craft beer because they want to stand next to a canning line or tinker with a complicated piece of equipment. That can be fun, but it's not the goal, right? Generally speaking here, we all have a love for great craft beer. We have a love for producing a product that we're proud of and then sharing it with customers. And, with my wine background, I like to say too, we're in the business of providing pleasure. People enjoy our products. That's what we do. And that's the craft beverage industry. But in order to do that, you have to have a quality packaging operation. The other part of our philosophy at Ironheart is that packaging it's the gatekeeper to your brand. It can't make your beer any better. So you can make the best beer anybody's ever tasted in tank. And if the packaging process detracts too much from the quality and ruins it, nobody will ever know that you brewed the best batch of Kolsch that the world has ever tasted. So, that's got to be the attitude behind everything. And it's part of our philosophy. So anyway, long way of saying that, having Mark on the team with that perspective, but also the aptitude and the skill to manage this program, we knew was key. And one of the reasons why we didn't do it earlier, even though we saw the opportunity. It's kind of you can call it the tech support and services program. But the way we like to look at it, the way I'd like to kind of maybe pitch it, if I use that word, is it's the tip of the iceberg. We like to think we are making our philosophy of operational excellence available to people who are running their own canning line. And we filled over 425 million cans as a company, and we have over 100 techs in the field. We call them canning techs, and they're all trained professional packagers. And we have a quality team that is in-house as well. We have quality manager in Minnesota. We have quality satellites throughout our company. We run CMC Kunke imagers, 5 of them now throughout the company, I believe, in different areas. We have DO meters at all of our warehouses. So we have this infrastructure that was built, over time and is really tailor-made to fit this program. It's kind of like the end step in a progression. And that is, like I mentioned before, focusing on our quality, mobile service, building our customer partnerships. But, we have the bandwidth to do this now. And and it's great. And I guess the last thing I would say too that led to the timing of when we were launching this as well is I think we've all seen the used equipment in the market, for better or for worse. There's more used equipment in the market, and we have experience with used canning lines as well as new canning lines, and um, some of them need a lot of work, and they also some of them. This program isn't specific to used equipment, but they don't always have the support from the original manufacturer as well. So see that as another reason why this could be well timed.
Awesome, Roger. Thank you for sharing all that. I guess now's the perfect time to ask, for someone looking to get involved and taking advantage of this resource, like how can they do so?
Well, once again, in the effort of keeping this a solution, we try to tailor it to the needs of anybody who's reaching out. And along that, but of course we need a structure and we need a model for the program. But we try to keep it simple. So there's a couple different aspects to it. Get my notes just so I don't screw it up here. But it's like on demand. It's a la carte is the way I like to put it. We do have the one exception, obviously, would be phone support. We just can't have on-call phone support for anybody that wants to call at any time. So that's the one aspect of the program that we ask for a subscription for. If somebody feels like their situation needs on-call phone troubleshooting or support, we ask that you sign up for it. You subscribe to it for a year, and then you can get somebody on the phone at any time during business hours, troubleshoot, get to your questions. But the real meat of the program is our local on-site support services, which are just basically on-demand hourly rate. And that hourly rate covers almost everything that you could need: repairs and maintenance, line troubleshooting, even cleanup or tune-ups, maintenance, staff augmentation. So if you needed just somebody to come in and run the canning line, it can cover ad hoc operator training. So not a real comprehensive operator training course, which is we do offer. I'll get to that separately. But if you have a couple issues that you need to work through, we can do ad hoc operator training through this on-site support as well. There's filling training, DO minimization, loss minimization, those aspects of it. Seam inspection training, how to inspect your seams, how to make seam adjustments, and even labeler inspection, repairs or maintenance as well. Another aspect of this is our 30-point line diagnostic. Wanted to put a useful tool out there for somebody who's just in a situation where, hey, my canning line's it's a PITA. It's not performing to the level, my packaging operation, my canning line operation, just not performing to the level that I wanted. I'd like to kind of get an idea of what's going on mechanically with my line. And that's a 30-point inspection. It evaluates all the major components of the canning line, makes recommendations of things that might need to be maintained or serviced. And then once again, that can be followed up on. We could do the work as needed. Then of course there's more interval related or less on demand. And that would be, so if there's a catastrophic failure of a canning line component that really needs like an engineer or needs Mark himself, the general manager of our program, to come out and really overhaul or repair something major. We're talking like, electrical components or the computer or major drives. We do have advanced support as well. And that's like a daily thing. We'll come in for a day or however as long as needed to do it. And then the next two parts are, one is related to the seamers. So we are offering seamer rebuilds as part of this technology.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
Yeah, that's, I always like to say that the seamer is the most complicated operation in the canning process. Unfortunately, maybe because it's very technical, it's often a neglected component of the canning line, but seamer components do have a life. They require maintenance, they do wear, and they need replacement, and they need a rebuild. We do all of our seamers in our fleet once a year or every 1.5 million seams. That's our, that we have a regular program. Many seamers out there obviously are over that maintenance interval. It doesn't mean that you're spitting out leakers, but it could get to that point. So the seamer rebuild is a nice way for you to send you a box. You box up your seamer, you plan some downtime. We could obviously come in and help with mobile for capacity augmentation if you need to continue production, but it'd take about a week. The seamer actually goes to our engineering team located in New Hampshire. They will fully rebuild it. It's a flat fee, and then there'll be some additional parts because you don't always know what needs to be replaced. We're not going to replace something that doesn't need to be replaced on the seamer, but if it does, we'll recommend it. We'll do it. And then we ship the seamer back, and then our customer can put the seamer back on their canning line, or we could use that local on-site support to do that for them as well. So really great program. And the reason why we do it in our engineering team up in New Hampshire as well is that they're obviously really set up to do it, but they'll dial the seamer back in based on the cans that you use. They'll have it ready to go, completely in spec and ready to rip when they send it back. So they'll run test cans, they'll image those cans, they'll make seamer adjustments, and it just that's something obviously that anybody can take advantage of.
Nice. I want to talk a little bit more about the training, if we could, Roger. I mean, you talked about the on-site support services, but how does the operator and canning line training that you all offer help producers optimize the canning processes and maximize operational performance?
Well, Andrew, just one thing I forgot to mention too on that last part was the QC aspect of it. Sorry, we run a qPCR machine, so the last aspects of the things that we're offering under this program are lab analysis, just per submission. If you want to run spoilage, we do that as well on our qPCR, and then seam analysis as well on our CMC Kunkies. So, and that's just per submission. So that can be set up. And we could also do DO and sanitation audits as a separate thing as well. But we're kind of separating them more under quality control services rather than that local on-site support.
Yeah, but definitely important.
Training. Training, couple different options here. As part of a new line installation, we could come in and spec on crate install a new canning line or new to you canning line. We can provide a full operator training course as part of that as well. That would be a 5-day curriculum customized to your setup, right? Your machine, and it would come with a book that we would then follow. You get to keep. There's I believe it's 2 days of training without running cans, and then there's 3 days of training on the line, and it really covers all aspects of operation, from sanitation, CIP, through pushing the buttons, turning it on, turning it off, and then filling methodology for loss minimization, DO minimization, and checking those seam components of the seam, checking your seams, verifying everything. So it is the most comprehensive, complete training course that I'm aware of, and that's the full Monty. That's the whole training program. Now, as I said before, maybe that's too much, and that's not what's required. But there's a particular aspect of an operation or a particular issue that's happening. You need some ad hoc training with it specifically. That would just be handled under our local on-site support. The thing about the inline fillers and these filling machines is they're largely operator driven. Let's face it. They're not just you set it and forget it. You don't just hit a button and walk away from it. So the skill of the operator, at least in our experience, is extremely important. And that all comes from from the personnel, right, and the experience and expertise of the operator. And I've given a lot of, I think I probably did it with CBP and you too, Andrew. But the components of quality canning, one of them are repeatable SOPs and the correct procedures. And one of my recommendations is always that everything's documented, right? So that when you have a change of personnel or somebody moves on, right, it happens in everybody's organization, there's less of a delay. You can get back up to speed, or you don't have a lapse in quality. But unfortunately, it happens. So if you have somebody new on your canning line, right, that doesn't have all the experience that you might like, or you have your packaging manager moves on, or there's just something you think you can do better, um, we'd love to have a conversation about what that is, and then kind of tailor it specifically to what you need or what you want to cover.
So, Roger, let's talk a little bit more about the canning line installs you just talked to. You talked about some of the training that goes along through it, but can you walk us through the process of the canning line installs that you all provide at Ironheart?
So, once again, it depends a little bit on what type of line it is. It depends on your space. It depends on what you want to cover. But we can literally cover everything from uncrating the machine, getting it set up, getting it installed, getting it hooked up, um, straight through the commissioning of the canning line and running cans, and then the training. We're not a canning line manufacturer. I want to be upfront. This our tech support and services program is not affiliated with any particular manufacturer. So this is this is our service, our operation. So I think that does that will kind of steer what we would do as far as an install is concerned. But it really, I think we can help you get it right the first time, and that's important. And then it's nice, obviously, too, because it kind of leads into ongoing support. So if we're able to get the canning line installed correctly, get it commissioned correctly, and have the initial training, I think you're 95% of the way there. But then if anything else happens, we're there as well. Another part of this too, I just want to make, if I did understood your question correctly too, is we also do, as part of this larger program, we're actually selling some refurbished canning lines as well that our engineering team has worked on and refurbished too. So that's our engineering team goes over the entire canning line, basically rebuilds it, gets it perfect, and gets it new. We're making those available for purchase. And then obviously this program would support those as well. It's like a secondary thing as well. But same thing with those canning lines. Our team would come in, spec it specifically for your for the space, set it up. There's always some level of customization. Not everybody's blessed with a big open packaging pit or or a pad that's ready made for a canning with all the drops and all the hookups ready to go. If you're set up that way, good on you for planning ahead, but that's not always the case, of course.
So speaking of planning ahead, you all help with maintenance and repairs as part of your service support.
Mm-hmm.
So how does this help breweries ensure the longevity and optimal functioning of their canning equipment?
Well, if time is valuable, and not everybody has all the time that they would like to make sure that their canning line is maintained and operating perfectly. Big part of it is cleanliness. We talk about what Ironheart does. We spend 1 day of maintenance every week. So if we operate 5 days a week, 4 days we'll do canning, 1 day's maintenance. Unfortunately, there's not always enough time in the day, as everybody knows, especially for somebody running their own brewery, running their own business, trying to sell their own product, brew the beer, package the beer. So if you don't have enough time to get everything done perfectly, of course, things get delayed or put off. Soft parts changes, right? Changing over the hoses, replacing the gaskets, replacing your CO2 lines, removing the track from your canning line to clean some of those hard to reach places, deep cleaning, foaming, not talking about regular interval PM, but more even just cleaning maintenance. All of that can be taken care of through this program as well. And it's something that can, come off of the brewery owner, the operations plate, and be outsourced, right? We understand the value of an outsourced service, at least I like to think we always did, right through our mobile service. As I mentioned before, you can focus your resources and your bandwidth on other areas. Now that this service is available, it can be used for your own canning line to handle those aspects.
No, thanks for sharing that, Roger. Now, something you talked about earlier that we kind of went over fairly quickly, but I'd love to dive deeper into. Can you explain a little bit more how the staff augmentation aspect of the program is helping breweries address these shortages or skill gaps in their canning lines and what benefits it offers?
It's well, you get a professionally trained tech. So our staff, our field techs, they aren't allowed to run cans. It's between 6 and 9 months of training program. They obviously are able to support, run as an assistant, and then they move through different levels. Tech one, and then they move up in their ability to run a canning line. And they're not certified to run a canning line until they have a, a good amount of experience. So this program, through our staff augmentation services, staff augmentation is part of our local on-site support. It makes these techs available to any brewery operation for an hourly rate. So there can be a tech that works alongside somebody with the brewery, right, and complete some of that ad hoc training, or they just run the canning line, right? And this has been used by some of our brewery partners for, let's say, larger canning runs. Hey, if there's a seasonal or there's a need to run off, that 30, 50 cases, not a big deal. But there's a distributor order that comes through. We need to do a 500, 600, 700,000 case run. We could be brought in order to knock out those larger volumes as well. And this is separate from our mobile. I'm not talking about running our equipment. That's off to the side. That's always there, of course, to push additional capacity. We're talking about having our techs come in and run the equipment that's on site. So, emergencies, loss of personnel, this could really help bridge the gap in between a packaging manager leaving your brewery and you need to fill the void, or it could be longer term.
No, that's so valuable in the, challenging state we currently are in the world of beer. Staffing is tough. So the fact that you offer that, it's a really cool benefit that people can take advantage of.
Yeah. Where previously, unfortunately, my only response would be, hey, we could bring our canning line in and we could get it done for you. Now this is another option.
So, Roger, today we talked a ton about the technical support and services program that you all are rolling out. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I would like to say that I think that this is the reason why we're Ironheart in general. We're very excited to launch this program is because we see the demand and we see a bit of a void in when we get phone calls from people say, hey, in the past, we really need your help. And I didn't really have a solution. And it's kind of difficult for our culture because our culture is always, hey, how can we make this work? How can we help? How can we fit into your box? How can we help fix your problem? And this just really gives us a tool in our 27 states of geography. That's one of the things maybe I should have mentioned up front as well, is we work east of the Mississippi and we're in Minnesota, west of the Mississippi. So, as far as this program is concerned, some of our audience, some of our listeners may be out west. Certain aspects of this certainly may apply, SEAM submissions, lab analysis, phone support even. But really, in our 29 states that we can cover from our warehouses, we have the entire eastern part of the United States covered. So to be able to do that and cover that large geography and be there fast, because we're local. So we have our 29 warehouses and we've mapped those 29 warehouses to be a 3-hour drive from anywhere that we're doing mobile canning. And that covers almost our entire geography. So to be able to get a phone call, say, I'm in trouble, I'm down, follow up with a phone call, find out exactly what's going on, and then say, we could be here before the end of the week. We could be there tomorrow. We could be there in a couple of days. I think that that's pretty special. And I think that it's one of the reasons we made it a la carte, because you don't know when an emergency is going to crop up. You don't know when the need's going to arise, but having that lifeline, I think is great, and why I wanted to use this opportunity with you to just kind of get the word out there, so that when that does happen, you think, hey, maybe I should give Ironheart a shot and see if it's a fit.
Yeah, I agree. You know, as a business owner myself, we can't do everything ourselves. It's best sometimes to go to those who have the expertise and do it full time. And it's so nice that you offer this level of support for, breweries across the country. And Roger, if anyone's interested in learning more, what's the best way to contact you again and reach out to Ironheart?
Best way to contact us would go right to the website. And in our website, under our services, you will see tech support and online services. And right there, you can send a quick email. And as soon as you hit send on that email, that will go to multiple people at Ironheart. And you should get a reply email or a phone call within, within a couple hours. So if you have an issue, that's the best way to do it. That way you don't have to worry about just leaving a voicemail or one specific contact. You will get in touch with everybody by visiting the website.
Well, awesome, Roger. It's always great to see you. I can't wait to the next opportunity we have to have a little face-to-face time, but appreciate you sharing so much today. Appreciate you and Ironheart, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks for giving me the chance. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.